People have been arrested. Looters are going to be charged. But the Los Angeles fires have gotten out of control, but now they seem to be subsiding. There have been people taking advantage of the empty and abandoned property due to the fire evacuation orders, and they thought they made good on it. They thought they'd take a chance with it and get some free stuff. But as it seems, they've been busted and they've been caught. Welcome to the Global Reference Newsroom. You're looking at GRN Inside America. Like, share, and subscribe. We're going to get into a few news stories that detail how these people were taken down. I heard there's about 40 of them, but it may be more, it may be less. Let's look at it and let's see what Channel 4 had to say first.
Law enforcement from across L.A. County say they are working together now to protect the victims of the fire so they are not victimized again, and have already started working and filing criminal charges against some of the suspected looters. Our investigative reporter Eric Leonard joins us from the Hall of Justice downtown L.A. right now. Eric, these are just some of the cases that police and federal agents as well. The feds are working on this. You really see the breadth of support charges in all of this.
That's right, Colleen. We saw a number of representatives from local and federal agencies here, all together, all working on a single goal, which is to protect Southern California from the lawbreaking that could follow a fire like this, or the fires like this. And they're looking at a number of areas. For one, obviously, the feds focused on the cause of these two largest fires.
Mind you, so real quick before we go any further, I'm reckoning that when they went and did the looting, these were areas that may not necessarily have been on fire, but they had gotten evacuation order.
Second, they're working to protect.
Because I can't see, I'm not saying it's black folk. If it is, I can't see us jumping through no fire and ash and smoke to get some stuff that's already burnt up. That don't make no sense to me whatsoever.
Protect the property of everybody who's had to evacuate and may be out of their homes.
Oh, God bless America.
For days or weeks. And third, they're also trying to do something about what they say are near constant personal drone flights within the restricted airspace of these fire areas that continue to interfere with firefighting, sometimes even preventing water-dropping flights that could be so critical in the next day or two. But let's go back to that first question, which is the cause of these fires. Clearly, that's what's on everyone's mind. The U.S. Attorney announcing today that members of the ATF National Response Team, which is the group within ATF that investigates the cause of major disasters and fires, is finally on the ground. I believe that's what we've seen from News Chopper 4 out in the Palisades this afternoon. Here's what the U.S. Attorney had to say about their goals right now.
We are speaking on behalf of ATF. We're coordinating with ATF on the investigation and any potential prosecution. We are at the initial stages at this time, so we ask for patience as we go through this investigation. Everything is on the table in terms of the investigation. The investigation is its early stages.
Don't you have any number of investigations?
We are investigating all the fires for potential arson.
Those investigators were on scene in the Pacific Palisades today. Today is the first day they've been on the ground.
Sometimes I just feel like they just tell people stuff just to pacify people, to make it look like they're working, but they're really not.
In Southern California, and that's where they believe the fire began about a week ago. Again, they're part of the ATF's National Response Team, and the group that was sent here has particular expertise in wildland fires. So far, as you heard, nothing's been ruled out. The feds are working with the local investigators from LA Fire, who were the ones who were first on scene and gathered the...
Real quick, I can tell you for a fact, this wasn't started by just some Jimmy Joe out in the woods or out in the desert. I was driving in somewhere close to Altadena, and I see the big old flash. A big old flash of light, and then 20 minutes later, they said there was a fire.
Initial evidence. Next, we heard from the L.A. County District Attorney. He said charges have already been filed against the first group of suspected looters arrested in the first days after the fire.
See, these are, as you can see, these are evacuation order, properties. These aren't properties that are on fire. These are areas that they said the fire could spread to it, so you might want to get out of here.
Thieves who are suspected of burglarizing homes both in Altadena and the Palisades fire areas. One group of burglars was caught on Ring video inside a home in the Palisades where it's believed they stole valuables worth more than $200,000 while the neighborhood was under an evacuation order. The Santa Monica Police Department told us today it's made upwards of 40 arrests, those ranging from looting accusations, burglaries, curfew violations, and so that number continues to climb. I think we've calculated at least 80, maybe close to 90 arrests in the last week, and that number continues to grow. And then lastly, the FBI says it is working to work backwards from the wreckage of a drone that was found after it collided with a Super Scooper water-dropping airplane over the Palisades fire last week. And they have agents out trying to track down the owner of that drone. They say they're on the trail. And the FBI warns that anyone else who's doing this is going to get caught. In fact, they say agents are looking through social media posts where people are posting their own drone videos over the fire areas, and they're working backwards, possibly with subpoenas and search warrants, to find those people. Flying drones over restricted areas is against the law, and they could face significant federal charges. A fourth area that all the law enforcement says they're looking into has to do with fraud. They're warning that between price gouging and people trying to abuse federal relief money or possibly trying to set up phony charities, all of these are areas that both local and federal agents are very focused on right now. The LA City Attorney's Office has set up a special price gouging hotline. That's an area that the City Attorney's Office is uniquely focused on and has the jurisdiction to prosecute. That number, we'll make sure that number is in our digital reporting today. Also, the federal
price gouging is nothing new to California. Everything in California is expensive. One house, look, a house back south or back east that's $200,000 is like $1.2 million out here. You know, national gas prices is what, $2-3. Ours is like $7. So you missed me with the whole price gouging thing. California is a price gouge.
Federal government very interested in relief money fraud. You'll remember back during the COVID-19 pandemic, months into it, we started learning about all kinds of individuals and even some small businesses that were accused of filing false applications and collecting, in some cases, millions of dollars in relief money fraudulently. Well, the FBI is very focused in this area. They want to make sure that everybody that's going to be receiving federal relief money, both individuals and small businesses through the Small Business Administration, are entitled to it. FBI agents are...
You'd have thought they learned with the PPP loan scandal. I guess some people just never learn, right?
Charges have been announced against 10 people. We learned of this afternoon. 9 for looting, 1 for arson in connection with the fires, although the arson one is not connected to these devastating fires.
A different fire.
Yes, exactly.
Fox 11's Laura Diaz is live in downtown L.A. And Laura, it seemed like they were really trying to send a message today, especially with more fire weather coming tomorrow.
Look like you done had you a rough night, baby.
Yes, Alex, the message was sent loud and clear. It was a massive show of support and strength today. We had law enforcement officials from the state, the county, the city, and the federal offices all saying, if you go after fire victims, we're going to throw the book at you. Let's listen.
It's about time.
As we announced today, the charges being filed on 10 different individuals, 9 of them for looting in both the Palisades and the Eden fires, and 1 for arson. And arson, by the way, not connected with the origination of the major fires, but an arson that occurred in Azusa. What 2 of these individuals did is on the night of both January 8th and the early morning hours of January 9th. They went ahead and committed first-degree residential burglary and looting during an emergency and evacuation situation in a house in Mandeville Canyon.
How many years you think you can get for something like that? But then, watch, they're probably like minors or something like that. So if that's the case, but then again, you never know.
They have been charged with first-degree residential burglary. They've been charged with looting. They've been charged with grand theft.
that ring camera video quite powerful. The DA went on to say that those suspects had stolen over $200,000 in valuables from that home.
That goes over the $900 limit.
But as you pointed out when you came out to me, of course, we were getting ready for another powerful Santa Ana condition and potentially very threatening and dangerous fires to burn here in Southern California today. So that's why I think that it was so important that all of those officials showed their strength today. In fact, they spoke for over an hour. And when I come back at 6 o'clock, I'll talk about the question that I was able to pose to the DA and to the sheriff as well about this report that we've been receiving that private citizens have been taking matters into their own hands, vigilantes, if you will, to try to protect their own property. And these are the circumstances that we find ourselves in this very harrowing time in January. I'm Laura Diaz.
Wow. So now everybody wants to be a George Zimmerman all of a sudden, right? Because, see, California's been notorious for not letting you, have a weapon, not letting you carry a weapon, not letting you have one in your person. We want to get rid of all the weapons, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So now all of a sudden, all these, see, all it takes is tragedy for woke liberals to get their head right. Oh, no, all it takes is tragedy happening to them. But when it's happening to you or somebody else, then, it just is what it is, bad times.
In 24 hours to keep us safe and secure during these tragic times, with over 200,000 Angelenos cooperating with evacuation orders in order to make sure that they get out of harm's way, allow firefighters and first responders and law enforcement to do their business. There have been certain people that we have given a warning to because we anticipated that this was going to happen. And these are the criminals. These are the people who are seeking to exploit this tragedy for their own benefit. These are people who have engaged in looting, arson. We've also investigated price gouging. We'll be investigating internet scams and the like. Today, we're here to announce that the promise that we made when we started this, that these criminals would be arrested, they would be prosecuted, and they will be maximally punished, is a promise we are keeping. As we announced today, the charges being filed on 10 different individuals, 9 of them for looting in both the Palisades and the Eden fires, and 1 for arson. And arson, by the way, not connected with the origination of the major fires, but an arson that occurred in Azusa. These felony charges are the result of a multi-agency collaboration that has been nothing short of incredibly impressive to be able to bring these charges this quickly. This
I have a strange feeling. I feel like the citizens have played more of a role in it than the actual police, to be honest with you.
The Los Angeles County Fire Arson Unit, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco,
I don't see all them people having been involved in it. I just don't.
Los Angeles City Attorney's Office, and all our related cities that you'll hear about that have done incredible work.
And you know who's absent? The mayor.
Enormously stressful times in order to
and the governor.
These culprits.
I think they're both hiding.
I'll go through the various charges that have been filed today. The first set of charges are against 3 individuals. Martrell Peoples, Damari Bell, and Travin Coleman. What 2 of these individuals did is on the night of both January 8th and the early morning hours of January 9th. They went ahead and committed first-degree residential burglary and looting during an emergency and evacuation situation in a house in Mandeville Canyon. They have been charged with first-degree residential burglary. They've been charged with looting. They've been charged with grand theft. They stole over $200,000 as been alleged by the charging documents. And by the way, with respect to the charges I'm going to announce, please know this. The charges themselves are not evidence. Everyone that I'm going to describe today is presumed guilty until and unless they are proven their guilt is proven by the government beyond a reasonable doubt.
Shoot, knowing California, shoot, they may be off before the weekend.
Excuse me. Presumed innocent. Thank you for your
No, you had it right the first time. Hey,
Hey,
look, they only detain you if you're presumed guilty. I mean, why? This is what I never really understood, and I'm kind of like done with this. If you're presumed innocent, then why would you take them into custody? I presume you to be innocent, but if I presume you to be guilty, then I would take you into custody because I'm not saying you're guilty, but I presume you to be. So since I presume you to be, I need to take you into custody and we need to sort this out. I don't know.
Proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So back with Mr. Peoples and Mr. Bell. They went ahead and committed these crimes. And when they committed these crimes, as you're going to see on this TV screen right here to my left, it was caught on a Ring camera. If you can play that as we're speaking. And the LAPD, through, again, such impressive investigation, worked with various leads and tracked Mr. Peoples and Mr. Bell to an apartment in Koreatown. Surveillance was then conducted. When they attempted to leave, they were then apprehended, and a number of these stolen items from that residence was found with Mr. Peoples and Mr. Bell. Mr. Peoples is is committed 2 prior violent or serious felonies. This is his third. As a 3-strike, as a potential 3-strike person, he's looking at life.
Yeah.
Life in prison.
Done. He's a done data.
And Mr. Bell, as a
hell of a way to start your year, right?
Individual will be looking at 22 years and 8 months in prison if convicted. Mr. Coleman accompanied Mr. Bell and Mr. Peoples out of that apartment building in Koreatown, went into a second car. And when Mr. Peoples and Mr. Bell were stopped, that second car, driven by Mr. Coleman, kept going. It went through a light. It crashed into another vehicle. That innocent person in the other vehicle suffered a concussion. So Mr. Coleman has been charged with 1-count felony hit and run causing great bodily injury. As also a potential 3rd-strike case, he is looking at a maximum sentence of life in prison. The second case that we'll talk about involves Rudy Salazar.
Don't you just think it's just easier just to get a job? I mean...
and Lucia Hilrara Perez. They have been charged with 2 counts each of first-degree residential burglary in connection with an Altadena looting incident. On the night of, again, January 8th, they went ahead and entered 2 different houses in the Altadena area, stealing property in each of the houses, and they were apprehended by the police. The third, and they are looking at 6 years maximum on each one of the residential burglary counts.
12 years.
The third set of charges is against Roy Sims, Ryan Sims, Naquan Dewey Reddix, and Pierre O'Bannon. They are each charged with 1 count of first-degree residential burglary in connection with their crimes, where they went into a house in Altadena in the early morning hours and stole a variety of different personal property from the owners of that house. If we can show some of that property and the burglary tools that were seized, we do not have that.
Wow.
Among the property that you'll see that was stolen in that particular incident was actually the Emmy Award of the resident who lived there.
Hey, where you think you was going to sell that at?
In that situation, stopped these individuals.
Wow.
And were able to apprehend them and recover most of the stolen property.
Wait a minute, did he say they was trying to sell it, or he was going to beat him in the head with it? I missed it. I got to see it again.
In which Jose Gerardo Escobar has been charged. Do we have that ready? This is an incident that occurred in Azusa, where Mr. Escobar has been charged with 3 different arson charges. He is looking at 9 years in state prison. This is arson that occurred at Pioneer Park in the city of Azusa. It was investigated by the Azusa Police Department, who acted very effectively and very efficiently in apprehending Mr. Escobar. Mr. Escobar, as well, has been, he not only has been charged, but he is set for arraignment today. So again, with respect to all these charges, as I said before, these charges are not evidence, and they are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But this shows the effectiveness of law enforcement. So when I said, and I have been saying over the past couple of days, the question is not if, but when you will be caught if you engage in these crimes. The 10 charges, or 10 different individuals that have been charged today, are evidence of that fact. And the warning shot remains. Do not go ahead and engage in looting, engage in internet scams, engage in price gouging. Do not violate evacuation orders, and do not commit any of these crimes in which people are trying to profit from the tragedy of the people who have suffered from these various fires. What I'd like to now do is...
Yeah, and so that goes on, but, California, some of those crimes that he's talking about don't engage in, California's notorious for. In California, always have that, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that, don't, and like, you are the main crooks and criminals. I guess that's what organized crime is. GRN Inside America. Follow us at www.globalreferencenews.com. We need to update the website to give you more news, true news from our perspective. Try to break it down, interpret it for you. Interpretate, I don't think that's a word. If you want to reach out to us, it's helpdesk@globalreferencenews.com. Thank you. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.